We live in a moment where tattoos are more popular than ever. What once marked rebellion, deviance or subculture is now something you'll see on the barista, the bank manager, the babysitter. But for women, tattooing has always carried a double meaning. Inked skin isn't just a personal choice, it's a public conversation, a source of curiosity, judgment, empowerment, or all three at once. As tattoos move further into the mainstream, I wanted to know, what do they really mean to the women who wear them? Are they armour? Art? A way to reclaim autonomy? Or just another thing women are policed for having too much of? This documentary is a journey into those stories, a collage of voices, from scar specialists to stick and pokes.
I think there's so much stigma around people who have tattoos and piercings still.
The amount of partners that have messaged me and been like, you've given me my wife back.
Looking back now, I was naive, stupid.
I want people to think I am the kind of I don't give a fuck, that kind of person. But I actually give a lot of fuck.
It felt like I was experiencing that pain that I wanted to feel, but something so beautiful was coming out of it.
Chapter 1, Reclamation. For some women, tattoos aren't just decoration. They're a way of taking back ownership over the body after illness, trauma or pain. That's where Tanya Buxton comes in.
I'm the first tattoo artist that the NHS have ever employed to do areola nipple tattoos within their facilities. I work at the Kingston Hospital doing a clinic for their patients. I opened my own tattoo studio in 2021 called Paradise Tattoo Studio in Cheltenham. And the idea behind Paradise is that it would be this kind of hub. So we do see all walks of life.
She's a medical tattooist, proficient in decorative tattoos, scar cover-ups and 3D nipple tattoos. She specialises in giving people back what surgery or scarring may have taken away.
I would say as a whole, people are looking to feel like confident and empowered again. Some people are even seeing it as as a closing of a chapter, but also embracing like a new chapter as well. Whether that's a new identity, a new chapter in their cancer journey, or, just a new you.
After branching out from traditional decorative tattooing, Tanya's expertise has allowed clients from all over the UK to trust their body to her. And that is just how much a tattoo can mean to these people. The difference between feeling empowered in your skin or limited by it.
And I don't like the word normal, but that is a word that a lot of people use. They all, they just want to look normal again. And I think what they mean by that is that they just want to feel like themselves again. I had a particular mastectomy client recently, and she had a double mastectomy but stayed flat, so she decided not to have reconstruction. But the scars were quite bad. She was going to a festival and basically planned her outfit around her tattoo. So it was this like glittery sheer top where you could just see the tattoo straight through it. And she was like, if I never had that tattoo, I would never have worn that. Like, I would have felt too conscious. But she was just like absolutely loving herself at this festival.
But not all healing looks the same. For some, it's about surviving memories. Meet CJ Brooke, who works in healthcare insurance.
I was first 15 when I got my first ever tattoo. And it's a sloth on my forearm. I had a termination when I was 15, and the first ever baby girl I bought when I was wanting to continue with the pregnancy had sloths on it. So it kind of symbolises that he's always there with me. He's never leaving my side.
For CJ, her tattoo serves as a reminder and comfort. And there are many ways in which inked women have found grace from their mental health struggles through tattooing.
I'd say I probably self-harmed for the first time when I was about 11, and I probably self-harmed for the last time when I was about 22.
This is Tamsin Birch, marketing manager. She learned to use tattoos as a coping mechanism for her many years struggling with self-harm.
And when I first started getting tattooed, it really helped. And what I mean by that is I kind of saw tattooing as like a way to self-harm without, the normal effects of self-harm. Getting tattooed was like therapeutic for me. It felt like I was experiencing that pain that I wanted to feel, but something so beautiful was coming out of it. And it wasn't like I was negatively harming myself. I was getting what I needed from that pain relief in a way, but I wasn't doing anything ultimately damaging.
And Tamsin's story is not an uncommon one. She's went on to find a community of others that also use tattoos this way, further solidifying her trust and grounding in this practice.
And then I think I just Googled one day about like the connection between being tattooed and self-harming and whatnot in your past, and I saw so many people talking about it, and I thought, oh, okay, it's not just me. There is a community out there of people who have also experienced this.
Chapter 2. Culture. In some corners of the world, getting tattooed as a woman is about more than just self-expression. It's about drawing a line between who you are and who your families or culture expect you to be. Tattoos can disrupt the stories written for us by parents, tradition, or society and write something new.
I mean, Romania used to be a communist country up until 1989. So a lot of, people didn't have those things back then. So, and that's what I've always heard growing up, that only people who've been in prison, only criminals, only drug addicts and people like that have tattoos and piercings. So it's always been seen as something quite bad. And a lot of the people are still very narrow-minded and very stuck in the past. So they see everyone that has tattoos and piercings, they automatically look at you in a very judgy way.
Romanian-born Yulia knows this tension well. Where she grew up, tattoos were once seen as signs of criminality or addiction. These judgments aren't just from strangers either, but also from her own family.
Most of them don't agree. Most of them don't like my piercings and my tattoos. They think they look unprofessional. Some people have told me, oh, no one's gonna look at you romantically speaking. You'll never find a partner looking like that. Especially my aunt thinks a woman has to be feminine, and piercings and tattoos don't make you feminine, especially if they're bigger ones. And so I went home for about 3 weeks last year, and they barely reached out to me. We barely spoke. They have 9-year-old daughter, so my cousin. And, they might think, oh, we don't want her to influence our daughter in any way.
Since moving to the UK to work in detox services, she straddles both worlds and the assumptions that come with them.
I feel like people here are way more open-minded about that. And in no job I've had, or even at university, or anyone I've interacted with, never has had an issue. I've never felt like I was looked at and being judged in a way of, oh my God, look at her. Whereas in Romania, I would just get stared at, in a judgmental way. Because I feel like people see this here as just something that enhances your appearance, not as something that's, gang activity related or criminal related, or it's just part of your personality and how you decide to express yourself.
For artist Han Zhang, it's not so different. Her tattoos also sparked conflict at home, this time with a traditional patriarchal Chinese household and an image of femininity that she never quite managed to fit.
I grew up in North China. And I definitely because I'm very, very heavily tattooed, I definitely get, people stare at my tattoos. But I wouldn't say anything bad. And also, more and more people are heavily tattooed these days in China as well. My dad wasn't okay in the beginning because he just relate tattoo with gangsters or, people not in the right social class as us.
Hang's body paints a story of her reclamation of her own individuality. Her artwork is dedicated to her tattoo journey and the disjunction between this and her parents in her adolescent years. But as her relationship with her family softened, so did her questions. Was the ink a symbol of true freedom or a shield against being seen too clearly?
It's just a dynamic changed. My because my parents aged quite a bit, and we're in like a very good term at the moment. And it made me question like all the fighting against my family, would it work me?
Hang's story leaves us with a quiet question. When the fight is over, who are you trying to be seen as now? Because not every woman with tattoos is trying to stand out. Sometimes the real challenge isn't rebellion, it's belonging. Chapter 3, Fitting In. Tattoos can mark you as different, but what happens when you don't want to be? Tamsin Birch works in marketing, a world of professionalism in branding, but she wears her ink openly, and for her, every tattoo is a quiet litmus test, a way to see whether a space is one she really wants to be in.
Typically with marketing, because it is more creative and the sorts of settings I've found myself in, it does tend to be quite laid back when it comes to tattoos. I've definitely worked for or with people before that I can just kind of tell, won't say anything, but there is a slight reservation or judgment there. It's never been like a good indication. Like if I ever need to cover up my tattoos, I feel like I don't belong in that environment pretty much. And it's kind of like a telltale sign that it's not going to work out. You know, if I go into a job and I'm feeling like I need to put a cardigan on, it's nice to kind of have it as a bit of a test almost.
Sometimes it's about wondering if you even belong to the community you've openly chose. Does being tattooed have rules of its own?
A lot of people have told me before that, like, from what they know about me, they wouldn't necessarily imagine that I would have like as many tattoos as I do. I'm not particularly alternative, for example, and I think a lot of people assume that like if you have tattoos, you're quite an alternative person. And so I think some people have this misconception, and because of that, that can kind of feed into how I feel I fit into the tattoo community.
The sense of never fitting the brief is something CJ Brooke knows well. CJ lives in a small, traditional area, and for her, visible tattoos have always been something to explain, to justify, or to hide.
It's more so the older generation that I've had negative things with my hand tattoos, but it's more so like people in passing that'll stop me and say, oh, you shouldn't have got that, you're never going to be able to get a job now, when actually I'm 21 on nearly 30 grand a year. Younger kids and people my age think that it's cool, but a lot of old people still think that if you're covered in tattoos, you're not going to be able to get jobs or go far in life, or that you're associated with drugs and alcohol and misbehaving, when it's really not the case of that.
Chapter 4, Regrets. Tattoos are permanent, that's the point. But people change, and so does the meaning we attach to the things we once etched into skin. Regret is part of the tattoo conversation, but it's not always the image. Sometimes it's the placement, the timing, the headspace we were in when we got it. For some, regret isn't even the right word. It's more like reevaluation. That's how CJ is feeling now about an impulsive memorial tattoo she got on her hand.
Even though it does have a big kind of sentimental value to me, I wish I would never have got it where it is, because now I've got a hand tattoo and I don't think I ever really wanted a hand tattoo, but I looked at it, thought it was cool, and then a week after I was like, oh, I don't really like that.
And some marks run deeper than skin, an unattractive and devastating reminder of previous trauma.
I've got a couple of stick and poke tattoos that I did when I was about 16, 17. If I could go back and not have them and not do them to myself, I wouldn't. I'd leave it. But when I was 16, 17, I was in a really toxic relationship and I was really addicted to coke and pills. And that was when I did those stick and poke tattoos. So even though they don't have the happiest of memories behind them, I kind of look back on them now and realise how much I've grown as a person.
Hang takes a different view. She doesn't regret her tattoos, not really, but she questions what they've done for her, or maybe what she's asked them to do.
They don't have any meanings, but I guess that's the connection, like, between me and my tattoo, because I don't know if I am, or it's just an image I want to project. Like, I want people to think I am the kind of I don't give a fuck, that kind of person. But I actually give a lot of fuck.
But for some, divine reason comes above all. Tamsin truly believes that what's meant to be will be, and that all art serves its purpose.
I think maybe at the time, like, I'll have got tattooed and thought, oh, this is a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, or maybe not quite what I was looking for. But like very quickly that fades, and like I feel just fine with it because it becomes a part of me. Like it's just me, and this is how it was meant to be. I'm such a big believer in like fate and whatnot that like as soon as that art is on my body, I'm like, this is mine, this is what it was meant to look like. I'm not really going to lose sleep over anything that I don't think's quite perfect originally, because it'll become perfect eventually.
Chapter 5. Why? After all the pain, the judgment, the questions, women keep getting tattooed. We keep going back to the chair, keep choosing to make more marks. Not just because it looks good, but because it means something. It connects us to who we are, to who we were, and the stories we choose to carry. For Tamsin, meaning starts with music.
So the first Fleetwood Mac tattoo that I got was this crystal ball here, and it says "Go Your Own Way," which is obviously a Fleetwood Mac song. And I got that because I wanted something to represent the feeling of being able to go your own way and being able to kind of create a life for yourself that looks different to, expectations that you might have had or family members. But for me, I've always believed in fate and destiny and crystal balls and things like that. And as much as I think that like a certain life path is laid out for you, you've always got the ability to create something and go your own way.
Tattoos can warrant a lot of attention, but also a lot of compliments. And with every exchange, the design becomes something shared, a source of pride and confidence.
I get a lot of compliments on my tattoos. Most times, if I'm out and about, like somebody will kind of come up to me and say, I love your tattoos, oh my gosh, or if someone's serving me in a shop or, a waitress in a restaurant or something like that. Like people will always comment on my tattoos. I'm so kind of used to it now. And that's really nice. It's such like a confidence builder, which is a big reason why I got tattoos in the first place. And it helps kind of rationalize any negative thoughts that I might have about my body, because there is such a beautiful thing or collection on my body that it's hard to kind of see the whole body as something inherently bad, because there is lovely artwork on it.
But not every woman feels defined by their tattoos. For Yulia, they're just one part of a much bigger picture. Not an identity, but rather an addition.
And I just, I'm almost 24, so I just got to a point where I don't really care what people say anymore. It's my body and it's my life. And if you don't like it, then that's on you. Because at the end of the day, you know who I am as a person. And I think that's so much more important than, how I decide to dress or how I, decide to express myself appearance-wise.
And as for Tanya, it's not about identity at all. It's about offering something. Confidence, comfort, and a chance to feel like yourself again.
When that person looks in the mirror for the first time, whether it's a new pair of eyebrows, a new set of nipples, or their new tattoo, like just seeing that person's face, it's amazing. And you think, me and my little tattoo machine have done that. The medical tattooing and the nipple tattooing, it does take things to the next level of how you're impacting somebody's life. Mm-hmm. And I think that's so rewarding, and that is definitely a drive that you're part of something so special for someone as well.
Tattoos can say, this is who I am, or this is who I was. They can be shields, souvenirs, therapy, rebellion, or just simply decoration. They might not make sense to anyone else, but for the women who wear them, they don't need to. Ink may be skin deep, but their stories are not. They are visible, they are imperfect, they are revolving, and they are permanent.